Greetings. Welcome to Dr. Neil's Spiritual Awakening to Non-Duality. This is Dr. Connie Zweig, and I'll be interviewing my husband who lives in spiritual awakening. You may have heard about this or read about it, but you may not know someone who lives it day to day. We'll be exploring how non-duality developed in Dr. Neil as I've observed it over 25 years, and as he directly experiences it every day. Each podcast will explore a different theme. We look forward to you joining us. Greetings. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to discuss the many forms of emptiness as Dr. Neil experiences them. And I'm sure if you've been in a spiritual community or have done readings in Buddhism or other traditions, you've come across this term, emptiness, empty self, empty mind. And maybe you've wondered, what is that like to experience that? When the Buddha said that his mind was empty, what is that about? And does it change? Is it a static state? What does it feel like? So we're going to discuss the many ways in which emptiness or the experience of emptiness has evolved for Dr. Neil. Take it away.
Well, this was not my first path, but has evolved since then and includes many different levels of emptiness. So I think the first sense of emptiness was, as you can see, the hand is moving. And an ego, the ego part of me, which still exists, is moving the hand. But if I let go of the ego, the hand is moving itself. There's nobody there moving the hand. I can't find the source of anything except emptiness that is moving the hand. And that's true of the body in general.
So this is empty action.
Empty action.
In Chinese or Chan Buddhism, it would be called Wu Wei. Mm-hmm. There's no doer. There's no will. Correct. In the arm movement.
Correct.
And it's kind of unusual that that was your first experience of emptiness, I think, at least in the literature. That's unusual. What happened next?
Well, the next is empty mind. So when I sit right now and I look at my mind, there's no thoughts going on. There's no content. It's totally empty. I guess that's what the Buddha was referring to when he meant empty mind.
The contents of consciousness are not preeminent. The thoughts are not gripping.
There's nothing there. It doesn't even feel like there's an unconscious. It doesn't feel like there's something emerging. It's just purely empty. There's no content unless I put attention on something that needs calculation or thought. So that vehicle is possibly there, the mind, when I need it, but otherwise it's not there.
And so how are you speaking?
Yeah, that's a weird thing because one would imagine that without thoughts, without the contents of thinking and all of the development of language that a child goes through, development of communication styles and functioning, one would need to have thoughts, feelings, or combination of those, but that seems to have disappeared. So speech is another thing that is spontaneous. Like right now, there's no thought behind my speech. There's no process that is going on that is pre-conditioned of speech. It's spontaneous.
No rehearsal.
No rehearsal. Totally spontaneous speech.
Does it feel empty?
Well, there's nobody directing it. So when I had an ego, I would think before I spoke. In fact, when I was trained as a psychologist, I was told to shut my mouth and wait until I could think of something that was very important that would take the client, the patient, to a deeper level of awareness that was important, and then to speak. So there was a lot of thinking that was going on, but now there's no thinking. Speech is spontaneous. Its source is empty. It's not divine. It's not ego-based. It's not driven by the body. It's totally spontaneous.
And so empty action or non-action, empty mind or no mind, empty speech or spontaneous speech, which is actually written about in the Vedas. And then what happened next?
So next was awareness of the ego, sense of identity as everything that I define myself as: body, emotion, thoughts, heart, functioning, identities, psychologist, father, child. All of my identities dissolved. And so there was an emptiness. And there's a direct experience of a sense of emptiness.
So we could call that empty self.
Empty self, no self.
And what is that like?
Well, it's like there's nobody there. All of this is happening, but nobody's there making it happen. Not even divinity. And it opens the doorway to expanding sense of consciousness for me, or it did open the doorway to other kinds of perception of reality.
Yeah, so that perception led to empty object.
Yes. So if I look at a tree, I can see the subject object and relationship with the tree. I can see that duality. But if I keep looking at that tree, so the subject and the object are in each other. So I am in the tree is in me. And then that disappears. So the object becomes empty. The tree is nothing. It's not really there. Just a hollow form without a soul. It's empty.
Without substantiality, they would say in Buddhism, without anything permanent.
Without consciousness.
Even without
consciousness, which at one point I was experiencing that the consciousness that is me and the consciousness that is the tree were the same. But now I have a sense that there's emptiness there as well.
Empty self, empty object.
Empty self, empty object, empty process of looking.
So there's a famous adage from the Heart Sutra that goes, form is emptiness, emptiness is form.
Right. Yeah. So that's dissolving the paradox in relationship of the sense of non-duality, in moving to non-duality with form and emptiness.
And subject, object are not dualistic. Yeah. They're both empty.
Well, that came later for me.
But I'm talking about that phrase, that there's no sense of the difference between form and emptiness. So if people react to the word empty with other connotations, like empty means meaningless, empty means not lasting, empty means impermanent, insubstantial, no content. Those have some emotionally negative connotations. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, when I look at emptiness, it's blissful, it's ecstatic, it's joy. It's not a negative state. It's just the source of all in the universe that's unfolding comes out of the emptiness and goes back into the emptiness. So, my next sort of growth was to begin to expand consciousness, because when one is empty, a way of looking at emptiness is there's no time and no space in emptiness. So because there's no space, time, one actually can enter into awareness of something in space, time from a new perspective, from a whole different mode. So, so I could enter into the body, the communication with you. I could enter into that, but I could also enter into a cosmic awareness. So the galaxy, for example, I find myself looking right now at the galaxy and noticing its rumbling and its movement, and the Earth going around the galaxy and the black hole in the middle of the galaxy. So there's this sort of capacity to observe, because the emptiness provides a no time, no space conduit to enter into some moment in time and space. So there's a sense there also that the galaxy is empty. I am empty, and the galaxy is empty.
And you mentioned source. Is the source empty? I mean, we talked about subject-object. So the ultimate object is this ontological divine source. And is that empty?
Yes. In Judaism, God is known as both the ruler and creator of the universe, and also as beyond that, in the sense of emptiness, sense of
Ein Sof,
Ein Sof. Yeah, that was the term.
the void.
So the void seems to be more mysterious and more deeper than form.
And yet it's empty.
Than oneness. Yet it's empty.
So is the experience of oneness possible because you're empty and the object is empty? Same essential emptiness?
Oneness is the first emergence from the emptiness, like the Big Bang. Before the Big Bang, there was, and I can say that because I can go there. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing. There was emptiness. And then there was potentiality. It was and the unmanifest cosmos, the thought of the cosmos in the divine, but nothing manifested from it. And then the manifest emerged as a point of creation that was the first oneness of existence.
So it was separate, but it was one with the source at that instant.
Well, it emerged from the source into a sense of oneness.
Yeah.
So, so that has been defined as, as oneness. And that's when one shares identity with all creation.
So is emptiness different from pure consciousness?
Different models, the different spiritual, mystical traditions have different models of what's ultimate. In Hinduism, Brahman is ultimate. That means oneness with all. Everything contained within the self. Everything as part of the same unity. In Buddhism, there's another step, which is to go to emptiness. And we can go through all the different traditions. They all have their own format for what's experienced. And usually it's based on the culture that people originate. But what I found is that I've managed to go through Vedanta as an initial process to inquiry, to a sense of emptiness that's Buddhist more than
Hindu.
Hindu.
Yeah, the famous teacher Dogen, I think, says there are 84,000 kinds of emptiness. So if everything is empty, if every form is empty and every emptiness is form, and we translate that into Vedanta, it would seem to be saying it's all pure consciousness. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if, I mean, there's so many scholars who are comparing the teachings of these lineages, and I'm not one, but it sounds that way to me, that your language has changed as your experience has changed. And as you've experienced more and more emptiness in all these different realms, empty speech, empty action, empty mind, empty self, empty object.
Empty non-duality. So that's another level of this, which is so I am aware of things like love being non-dual. There's no subject. There's no object that's directed to. There's no process that loving is going on, but love is there. And that's an object or a subject or both or neither. But behind that is an emptiness.
Emptiness is like the backdrop of the non-dual states. We did a podcast on the non-dual states.
One teacher described it as the forward part of the person is full, is present, is one, and the back part is empty. And if you cut them in half, cut the person in half, the forward will still be full, and the back will be empty. So these are directly related to each other, and you keep going, you're still going to have that experience that form and emptiness are one, are part of the same process.
So I know in my training, first in Vedanta and then in Jungian psychology, I feel this internal resistance to no self, right? Because the self with the capital S for Jung was the center of the psyche. For Vedanta, it's called Atman, and it's the God. No, it's called Atman, and it's the God within, right? It's Brahman within us. So for me to make these translation, and I'm just wondering if other listeners are having that resistance or also feeling this reaction to the terminology. We didn't expect this. We didn't anticipate that Neil would start experiencing all these forms of emptiness when his practices were more rooted in Judaism and Vedanta. And yet this is what's unfolded. So as we've kind of been exploring this, we've been moving toward this insight that emptiness means there is nothing permanent and substantial. Everything, it all must pass, right? It all passes away.
Right.
And at the same time, it's all interconnected. It's dependent origination in Buddhism. There's no independence in that lack of substantiality. There's no separateness. I'm not a separate, independent being. I'm actually connected to everything else. And my nature is basically the same as everything else.
Right. That's very parallel to this awareness that emptiness, out of emptiness emerges the one. And the one is what we are, and as well as the emptiness. So that that's a way of understanding it. And the one is interpenetrated and can be seen from so many different perspectives. Like we are joined in oneness. There's only one thing happening. There are multitudes of things happening that are all part of the oneness. So that space, or in time space, that emerging unity allows for a great deal of complexity in there.
And I think I would just add that in the different lineages, there are teachings that emphasize different kinds of emptiness. Like Some Zen emphasizes empty mind. Other traditions emphasize, like Chinese Buddhism, empty action. Others emphasize empty self, like Vedanta, or empty object. They go there first. And so the way that this is kind of unfolded for you in stages, I think, it's eclectic. It's kind of non-denominational, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
You didn't kind of follow a path to make it happen this way.
No, I just explored reality.
Yeah.
Or he explored me.
And it seems that now you go to emptiness in order to perceive reality beyond form. That's what's happened. Do you want to say something about where you are in this moment?
I'm in bliss. So emptiness brings up a great deal of bliss.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you found our discussion insightful, there's a good chance your friends will too. And we'd love it if you could take a moment to share this episode with a friend who you believe would appreciate it. Help us spread the word and reach more people. And follow us on any platform. Turn on your episode notifications so you never miss new content. Thanks for being part of our podcasting journey.